All right, so let's start with the club itself. We'll talk in detail about shaft and face through the swing. We'll use Colin Morikawa here. Shout out to TaylorMade for making this great video. The side by side. So camera angles aren't perfect here, but they're quite good. And I'll start right here. So if you've watched the free course, right, I'm sure you've seen me talk about what the shaft is supposed to be doing, the general idea. I'll kind of do an overview first. I want the shaft working nice and vertical in the backswing. We want it working into a shallower angle as such in the downswing, right? The amateur pattern just tends to be the opposite. They get it too shallow too early and then steep in the downswing, and then it's just a recovery game from there. So, but let's watch in more detail. I want that shaft to work up above the original plane. I want the club face somewhere between the spine angle and about 1230. Somewhere in here is fine. It's what you're going to see on tour. If we drag that up to lead arm parallel, we'll see shaft that's pointed somewhere between the toes and the golf ball. Amateurs tend to get the shaft out in here really early. I want to see it somewhere in this window. So we take the shaft up to the top. We're going to see something that is generally in the neighborhood of parallel to the target line, depending on how long the backswing is, right? See, this swing comes up short of parallel, but super important key that I've talked about in the Fundamental Secrets course is the transition area, right? What we want is a shaft that's now pointed outside the ball early, and what we want along with that is a club head. It's going to work on the left side or underneath this kind of virtual hand path. As you see, Colin does here. Okay, so the club transitions down. By the time we get to lead arm parallel, we're going to get quite a bit closer to the ball than we were in transition. As we track down, going to get that shaft typically right above the forearm, pointing at a similar spot. In this angle here, you're going to see a face that's kind of matched up to what it was in the takeaway. We want that face somewhere between here and here again, right? Right in there. We'll just take him down to impact. And let's look at the face-on version, right? So we'll go shaft parallel. Big mistake we see in amateurs a lot is just not enough width. By the time the shaft is parallel to the ground, we would definitely want to see some gap here. If we go up to lead arm parallel, we're often going to see a 90-degree angle like so, but there are definitely guys that have the shaft out in this window. Usually going to be a little short of parallel. Go back to lead arm parallel, we're going to see more angle typically. Right, this is a bit of an optical illusion because in the downswing, the shallower this angle, the more sharp this angle from face on is going to look. And as we get down, this is a pretty important checkpoint for people. As we get down to shaft parallel again, going to want to see the hand or the butt of the club pretty close to the golf ball, right? Go to impact. We like to see the butt of the grip or the hands on the thighs, the shaft leaning forward. And then we can look at post-impact stuff as well, but all of this is just going to be based on all the awesome stuff before it. What we like to see with the shaft is the shaft works pretty good to the left, especially with the irons more up that plane like you see there. The amateur mistake is going to be a shaft that works too far out pretty often. Going to see some variation in the face up here. This is kind of a more open square face. Definitely going to see some toes at this point that are more along this other line, right? Different release patterns can work. Colin's got that real strong bowed action with the wrist. Great rotation, so we're going to see less of a face rotation, but you can still see full crossover there with the arms. Big extension at this point. And then another decent checkpoint for you guys is going to be kind of where does the club and shaft exit. Right? I like to see this lower version. Bad golfers are going to tend to have it exit up in here, right? Or way too low, right? But want to get in that nice window there. Okay, so that's kind of a breakdown of what we like to see with the club shaft. And in the next video, we'll talk about how the head works.